Going into the provincial conference of the ANC, we know that the chairperson of eThekwini region, that is Zandile Gumede, and Begintuli, who is the secretary of the province, were not seeing eye to eye. The ANC always tells us that after the conference, we are now united, we are one unit. Do you think that's still the case in the party's biggest region by numbers throughout the country?
I think that's a fallacy to say post-conference there is a unity in the ANC or to those who have been competing for a particular position. And so as well as in our region, eThekwini region, I don't think that there will be a unity, and I don't think that also the reason for the cleavages or the reason for the infighting is based on the political principle. I think it's just the scramble for the finite resources of our municipality. And also, I don't think the narrative that has been promoted to say these guys they've dished out Jacob Zuma is another element for this contestation. I think also that is a huge fallacy. It's just to problematize the real issues that are facing the ANC in KwaZulu-Natal as well as the ANC at the eThekwini region.
Crystallize it for us then, if you're saying that the one faction which has said to be, or which has been said to be supporting former President Jacob Zuma may indeed have ditched President Jacob Zuma. What does the new leadership of the province have to contend with here in as far as the Zuma factor is concerned?
Look, these are ossified Jacob Zuma supporters. They have not ditched Jacob Zuma. It will be quite alarming that within a week these guys will distance themselves from Jacob Zuma. I don't think that it is such a case. All the point of analysis converge on the realities that these are still loyal members of Jacob Zuma, but within the faction of Jacob Zuma, there is a reconfiguration. And what necessitates that reconfiguration, or what ignites that reconfiguration, is the issues of resources. You'll understand that at eThekwini there's got about 46 billion, where the number of comrades of Mamu Zandile, they felt that she is sidelining them in this palaver or in these resources. And so they decided that the best way to be part of this golden pot is to remove her. And so the way to remove her is to remobilize themselves within the faction of Jacob Zuma, not outside the faction of Jacob Zuma. And so I think that Jacob Zuma and his faction, they still have a hold, but they move in a chameleon tendencies. They change colors and then they mislead the society to say we've ditched JZ, whereas they have not. And so I think we have to see as a fight of those who are supporting Jacob Zuma, fighting for the resources of the eThekwini municipality, nothing more, nothing less.
Can it be said, therefore, Mr. Dube, that Cyril Ramaphosa may finally have some kind of hold on that province, or is he still someone who simply cannot stamp his authority in as far as KwaZulu-Natal is concerned? Look,
I think the issue of Cyril Ramaphosa is a dilemma one when it comes to the ANC and his authority. And if you look throughout the whole country, there is this tendency to say people are divided according to JZ and according to Cyril. I think now that line of Cyril and JZ is coming to evaporate, or is evaporating. The issue now, for example, in Johannesburg, is the issue of the resources. It has nothing anymore to do with Cyril or JZ. And I think that Cyril has realized that his name is being used for people to put their hands in the cookie jar. Hence, if you have seen now, there is a parallel in terms of mobilization, in terms of marketing Cyril. He is starting to divorce himself from the ANC and is running the ANC election like your US election, like a presidential election, a kind of strategy to say, I have to present myself to the public. I have to present the things that I'm doing as the president of the country to the public, because I cannot take along people like David Mabuza. I cannot take along people like AC Mahashule or Supra into my campaign. I would rather go and re-invite the people that the society look up to them, like Ubaba Uthabo Mbeki and the others. And so I think he is aware that the ANC is a tarnished brand and there is nothing that he can do but is to rebrand himself outside but within the ANC. And so the issue of JZ and the issue of Cyril Ramaphosa is still there at Nasrec to say Cyril only escaped. He never win. He escaped with the win at Nasrec. And so I think the cleavages that you see in the ANC really, to a certain extent, it has become something, a sore thing to Cyril. And so in eThekwini, it's the same thing. People are not supporting Cyril. Cyril is not having a hold at eThekwini or a hold in KwaZulu-Natal. But people within the Jacob Zuma's faction, as I've said, they are redefining themselves.
Let's talk the alliance, therefore, very quickly. The region is also going to discuss alliance relations here. We know that the chairperson of the SACP in KZN, he has said that the SACP must contest elections on its own as it edges closer to the centenary of its existence. Do you think that alliance relations in KZN are solid, or are people like James Nxumalo going to possibly see the SACP going it alone come these elections?
Look, the SACP is acting exactly like King's Welitini to say, we'll move away from South Africa if you don't give what we want. So this is a scarecrow of the ANC. It's an old trick that we know. It's becoming expiring now. Because, since Limpopo, they were saying, Pulugwane conference, they were saying if they don't get their candidate, their preferred candidate, then it was Jacob Zuma, they will go alone. And then now again, towards Nasrec, they were saying that if they don't get their preferred candidate, of which was Cyril Ramaphosa, they will go alone. I think it's just a scarecrow and to intimidate the ANC to say, we will move away from the alliance if you don't give what you want. Check it in Gauteng, what Jacob Mababulo is saying about the integrity committee, of which the guys from the ANC, they're saying, look, with this integrity committee, it has nothing to do with integrity, but is all about deployment for those of the SACP who want to hold the position of MECs and MPLs. And so I think this issue of SACP trying to push the ANC into a corner it might backfire badly now to the SACP. Look what happened to Nasrec. None of the SACP members, central members were elected. And so even here in KwaZulu-Natal recent conference, none of the SACP guys were elected, such as James Nxumalo. So as well as in Gauteng, Jacob Mababulo is not part of the PEC. And so it shows that the ANC is starting to indicate to the SACP that possible now is the time for you as an organization to define yourself and go alone if you want to go to election. Or maybe is the issue of scarcity of positions now that are there in the ANC in order for them, or for them not to even to hand over some of these positions to the SACP. Because look, SACP and COSATU, they were entering ANC position in a form of a quota, but now even that quota system that was agreed upon in silence is no longer being applicable. It shows that the ANC and the SACP, they are drifting apart.
Just finally and very quickly, Bob Dube, talk to me about the meeting, the visit that was paid by President Ramaphosa to former President Thabo Mbeki. Should we read anything of significance there?
Look, I think that was a very historical one, and I think it's got a serious implication within the ANC, because it shows that some of the people in the ANC are saying, if JZ is so actively attending the ANC conferences and has been asked to go out and mobilize for the ANC, why not doing the same thing to the former President to former President Thabo Mbeki? And so I think there is a shifting sand within the ANC that says we rather bring Thabo Mbeki as well, because we can't mobilize with JZ. You know what happened in Gauteng in the last election? Yeah. The PEC were saying, look, we can't even use his T-shirt that bears the face of JZ. And so I think if we go to and kneel, because that's what he's doing these days, Cyril Ramaphosa, kneel to the king, and now he's kneeling to Thabo Mbeki. I think it is a strategy and is a good one.
All right, thank you very much.
Sorry?
No, I was saying that you're going to get yourself into trouble with constantly saying that the president is going around kneeling in front of people like the king. Well, thank you very much. Thanks indeed for those insights. That's Xolani Dube.
Thanks a lot.
He is with the Zubera Institute and a senior researcher there, political analyst.